Very busy day ahead for President-elect Trump. He's going to be meeting with President Biden at the White House this morning. That's supposed to happen at about 11 a.m. this morning. Then House Speaker Mike Johnson also expected to meet with Trump. And we'll be finding out about the leader that the president-elect will be dealing with in the Senate. Hopefully we'll learn that today. The race to succeed Mitch McConnell is set to conclude today. Joining us now on all of this, former Republican House Majority Leader Eric Cantor. He is now Vice Chairman and Managing Director at Moelis and Company. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Great to be here.
It's great to. I want to hear all of your thoughts about how this is going to impact business, but just to the extent that we were talking about what's going to be going on in Washington today, do you have a gamble here on Thune? Do you have a view about Rick Scott and everything that's going on there and everything else?
I think the real uncertainty comes in the fact that there is 27 being I think the magic number that one has got to acquire in terms of votes, and if Rick Scott's in there, he could be the spoiler where they go to a second round. So I think that is my sense, kind of looking from the outside. And in these leadership races, typically, even in the House, outside forces don't really make a lot of difference. And let's see if we're in a new era now, because I do think that
even when the outside force
is Donald Trump. Yeah,
right?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It is, the fact that there have been protests, from what I read and hear, on at senators' offices in their homes. I mean, that is new stuff. I mean, because it's just
Trump
not.
hasn't said anything.
No, but Elon Musk has, and that's
right. I mean, I think there's a clear signal being sent, but I think also Trump realizes, this has always been an insider's game, and not sure he can really influence it, because at the end of the day, it's a secret ballot. So now, how secret it is after the vote?
Yeah, well, there have been a couple of senators who have said that they're going to vote for Rick Scott.
Well, I mean, like somebody like Marco Rubio, but that's understandable. It's a fellow state, senator.
Tennessee is close enough,
and he's now part of the cabinet.
Said Haggerty on his
Haggerty said it.
Haggerty.
Right,
Lee
right.
said it.
And there's also people vying to, vying to be a part of the administration, and there's a signal that's been sent. So I do think that, we'll see how it plays out. My gut is it will stay where, in the sort of more traditional lane.
Really, talking about. This administration, by the way, on the finance end of it, I assume you were spending a little bit of time trying to figure out or think through who may ultimately be the Treasury Secretary, who may run Commerce.
It's a very...
who's on your list?
It's a very... Well, listen, I think what President Trump has demonstrated is not too dissimilar from what has gone on traditionally with modern-day presidents. I mean, they want people who are loyal to them. They want people who can execute on their agenda, and that's exactly what's happening here. And so I don't think it's so outlandish, this process. Now,
do you think we're talking about Lutnick? Do you think we're talking about Scott Bessent? What's the...
I have no ability to see in as to who's really in the lead right now, but I think there's one thing clear, that we are about robust growth, and that's where the focus is going to be.
Are you absolutely sure it's going to help your business at Moelis? I'll tell you why, and I'm thinking about Peter yesterday, Orzag, who now has a real job. He's like Lazard. Right. It actually matters. What he was in a good mood. I swear to God, he looked like he was in. It didn't go the Democrats' way, but I almost said to him, "You are happy. You are happy."
A reluctant acceptance of the fact that.
But if you're in a business like Lazard, it's going to be better for you.
Listen, same thing with Moelis. What we have seen is, typically in my short time on Wall Street, that's getting longer now, is that that typically Washington is a side deal, right? And it's people are figuring out how to work around it. But I do think that over the last sort of 6 to 8 weeks, there has been a real pause to see what's going to happen. And now, we've all seen the return to some of the market of the sponsors now. We've all seen, sort of people now, I think, a breath of fresh air on the regulatory front, because you think about the changes that are in store at the FTC. There was nobody like Lena Khan, and I think it was more individually driven with support from the Biden White House. That will be gone, and we're going to have a much, I think, more clear visibility on what regulatory prospects are in M&A. I mean, yes, Trump has been and was a little bit active in that, but I think it was isolated and episodic.
In terms of where that deal activity comes from, besides, by the way, just going to... there's going to be a lot of great fees that are come to the investment banks, and you're seeing a lot of the banking businesses that are public
Yep.
fly on the back of that news.
Yeah.
So that we know. The question is, you look at some of the smaller banks. Do you say it's going to happen in financials? Because, we have 4,000 banks in this country. They're going to come together. Do you look at energy? Do you look at, by the way, clean energy? There might be some companies that are going to actually struggle that may need to merge for other reasons.
100%. I think all of the above. I mean, we see, activity, dialogue is strong across sectors now, and I think a lot of it does have to do with just the sentiment that came with this election.
What about big?
Why are you pointing at me?
Okay. What about?
Because I think you are in agreement that we're going to have now a much more sensible regulatory outlook. And it matters. Incentives matter to business, to investors. It just does.
Big tech being able to make acquisitions. Do you think that's in the offing? Because that's been one of the places where it's been less clear that even in a Trump administration, if Apple, if Google, if Amazon wants to make a big acquisition, or even, by the way, frankly, a small acquisition, that it is challenging. I ask, by the way, because there's even questions about whether they should be buying media companies, for example, and the like.
Look, I think, first of all, it starts with the Trump administration has individuals there who are business people. That is very different from what's in the administration now, where you have ideologues, you have academics, and they have never been on the side of trying to make a decision, run a P&L. So you start there.
Right.
And I do think that when you look at the overall discussion about M&A and the option of M&A for a founder, for someone like who sits in Silicon Valley, many of whom now are very favorable towards a Trump regulatory framework, M&A is an option, right? It's an exit option. It helps our economy and its dynamism and the flow of capital to its most efficient use. So, yes, I think overall the sentiment has shifted. Who knows in particular instances? Because
no, the reason I ask, though, is you do hear occasionally, even from President-elect Trump, about Google to say, I want fair trade. I don't want to break up the company necessarily. But then I wonder about, for the last couple of years, you've seen OpenAI make these partnerships with Microsoft. In a more normal world, Microsoft might have bought an OpenAI, right? And Anthropic might have been bought by an Amazon or a Google.
Right.
And whether those type of things can happen in this new universe.
So listen, I think that
whether they should is a different question.
Right. I think, again, there will not be this construct that Lena Khan, Jonathan Cantor, and ultimately it was Elizabeth Warren who went and enabled these individuals to go sit in those seats and adhere to a framework which was completely anathema to what M&A is about. So I think we've turned the corner on that. We're going to see a much more, I think, conventional or traditional approach. I'm not saying that you're going to have, concentration of power that is going to squelch competition. No.